Welcome to the NLP Talks podcast, bringing you inspirational stories along with a good dose of potentially life-changing NLP strategies. I'm Laura Evans, multi-award-winning NLP trainer, and I'm on a mission to help you unleash your potential in business and life. I'm so glad you're here. Pull up a chair, listen in, and let's get started on revealing more about this transformational NLP toolkit. Hey, how you doing? I hope you're safe and well. I am, of course, Laura Evans, your host and the lead NLP trainer here at Unleash Your Potential. Welcome and thank you for tuning in. I can't wait to reveal another amazing episode. Today's guest is Hamza. Now, at 19 years old, Hamza took himself on a plane over to New York, to a country he'd never been to. Talk about feel the fear and do it anyway, the courage he had, but what drove him was his goal. He then came back and had failed business after failed business after failed business, got really frustrated, went to an event in Nashville, and that was a pivotal moment. He then came back and found NLP, trained with me last year. And since then, over the last, 8-9 months, something like that, Hamza has not only transformed his own business success and life, he's now done it for many other people. He's 25 and he's coaching 6- and 7-figure CEO and business owners, some of whom have doubled their monthly income by working with him. I mean, imagine that, doubling your income when you're earning that much money. Which is amazing. He also will talk to you about some of his successes in IT. So he's an Agile expert. So he's doing a lot in that. And that's all about communication. You're going to find that fascinating and just how useful NLP is in that regard. He's going to talk about other successes his clients have had, a really heartwarming story of how he helped a woman that had had trauma as a child and how that was holding her back in her business. This episode is packed full of nuggets. If you want to break through to success, then you need to listen to this whole episode because you're going to love the pearls of wisdom. So let's cut across to Hamza as he starts to talk to us about what it was like when he got on that plane and when he landed in New York.
When you're kids, you always watch movies, you always see New York, the skyline is right behind me as well. And it's like, and it was one of my dreams. I've always wanted to go there and I've always wanted to visit New York, just walk in the streets and just be a New Yorker, as they call it. And I remember I set myself a task. The goal was I said to myself, rather than just visiting there, why don't I actually work in New York? So that way I'm hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. And one of the main things that I had to do was I literally wrote my goal, which was I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to go to Times Square. The first day when I first reached New York, I'm going to go to Times Square. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to listen to Alicia Keys' Empire State of Mind.
Amazing. Brilliant. I love it.
And I remember, and at the time I was at university, I had no money. And for me to go to New York and find a workplace, so what I did was I found an agency that can help me out where, you pay them a certain amount of money and they will fund the internship, they will fund the experiences, but you'll have to pay for your flights, for your food, etc. I eventually went to New York after months of hard work. Before I even went to New York, there were so many things that was going on in my mind. There's so many things. The main one was, okay, Hamza, you are 19 years old. You're very young. It's the first time you're actually traveling and you're going to be in another place for over 4 months. So there is no, what if your money runs out? What if you lose your money? I was so afraid, but at the same time, I'm excited because I'm like, that's has always been my dream childhood memory. And I remember when I went in New York, I remember what the agency did was they have someone who writes and they pick it up from the airport. So there was someone at the airport who had the board that said my name, and I was like, oh my God, this feels like I'm in a movie.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember I was like, yeah, that's me, that's Hamza, yes, that's me. And
here I am walking out of the arrivals hall. Yes, that'll be my taxi over there. I love it.
Yeah, and I remember I'm just sitting there. He took my bags, went on the car, and we're driving 45-minute drive to my apartment. And the apartment was in Upper East Side. And I remember he dropped me off. I went straight away to my apartment, dropped my bag and everything, got my camera out, got my money, and I went straight to Empire State Building. So I said, I'm not going to catch a train. I'm not going to catch a bus. I want to walk there. I want to explore. I was I wasn't even nervous at the time. That I was excited. And and I remember I got to the Empire State. I went to Times Square and I sat down, and literally the way I visualized it, it's so weird the way it just happened. It feels like you're living in a memory that you've already dreamed about, but actually it's a reality now. And I sat down, I put my headphones on, and I played Alicia Keys' Empire State of Mind.
How did it feel? Right. So let's just like backtrack slightly. Right. So you're 19, you're like in two minds whether you should really even be going. You're probably quite fearful, had to have a bag of courage to even get on that plane and go to a foreign country you've never traveled before, all on your own. And then you get there. And then finally, you get the vision, you get the goal. You are sat in Times Square listening to Alicia Keys just as you'd planned. Like that is a whole lesson for me of feel the fear and do it anyway. Having,
Yes.
the courage to push yourself through, and then actually having a really, really crystal clear goal. So what out of that whole like experience, what were like the key mindset things? Like if you were to take some lessons out of that from a mindset point of view, what would they be?
For me, the biggest one would be courageous and just go. Because I had a lot of setbacks when at the time I was planning and trying to go, and there was my family, dad, for example, he was like, no, Hamza, you're going to another country, it's not safe, you need to, you're still young. And just being able to persuade him, and he will say no, and I'll find another way to persuade him, and eventually getting his permission, his blessing, and then finding the money to support myself to go there. And it's just the courage to even at the face of like getting a rejection, just saying, no, you know what, I'm not going to take that as an answer. I'll find a way, no matter what I'll find a way. And another point that it leads to is because I've already visualized in my mind, and it's like one of those ones, like you want to buy a car, you say you want to buy a specific car, and all of a sudden you see the same car everywhere, and you're like, wait, why is that happening? No, that's because your focus went there. And like the core is like where focus goes, energy flows. And so whatever you put your mind to, you will find a way. And I wasn't taking no as an answer. I just went with it. I was like, you know what? Fair enough. That's because of your own limiting beliefs, but I'll find a way to, go there, and which eventually worked out.
I love it. What a story of tenacity and like just relentless drive and focus, and what's possible when, like you say, when you're not prepared to accept no as an answer, and that resourceful state, as we call it in NLP, that resourceful state, that very clear focus, that sharp focus, that I will find a way. Those of you that have heard the podcast before will remember me talking about the cause effect equation. So that's very much being at cause. I will find a way. There has to be a way, and I just have to keep going until I find it. It is amazing. So listen, Hamza, there's so much I want to talk about in this episode. So I need to move on because so obviously you went to New York, you did all of that, you came back, you started working and bits and pieces. Now, if I can take you back, so you did your NLP training with us, the lion's share of it last year.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year. I'm checking myself then because all the years merge into one. I'm like, hang on, what year did you train? Right. So you did the lion's share of your training last year. So can I get you to talk about what life was like for Hamza in the lead up to the NLP training? Obviously something pushed you to seek out NLP. And I'm guessing that there were maybe things going on in your life at that time, maybe some frustrations or something, that led you to the decision that NLP was something that you needed to look at. Could you kind of give us a flavor of what that was like?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, after I came back from that trip, I started so many different businesses. I started network marketing and Forex trading, stock trading, buying businesses, selling businesses, like Amazon, Shopify stores. And there's so many businesses I tried. And in every one I tried, I'll have success, small success, but not major success. And then some of them I'll fail completely. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing what I'm being told to do, but I'm making the same amount of money every time. But what's the issue? Like, I don't understand, what is the issue? And this question like kept on hitting my mind. And I remember saying to myself, look, if other people are doing it and they're doing exactly what you're doing, the only variable is you. And I was like, you know what? I have to be true to myself and find out exactly what it is that's stopping me from doing this. And I remember I went to an event, and in the event, like it cost a lot of money. It was in America, and it was in Nashville, and I had to pay like almost 2,000 just to go there, and that included the hotel and everything. I went to the event. In the event, what they did is they have like they were giving out awards for people who won 100 million, awards for making 100 million, awards for making 25 million, awards for making 10 million, 1 million. And there were so many people who were making extraordinary amount of money. And I said to myself, I want to speak to that person who just won the 100 million, because he did not only make one, but he made 100 times. And I said, I will speak to him. At the time, everybody was speaking to him and everybody was around him. And I thought, I'll give him his space. I'll wait until he leaves. Because I was, like I said, when you have a focus, your energy will follow, literally. And I waited, and it took a long time. And then eventually, as he was heading to his hotel, I ran up to him. I said to him, "Excuse me, you just won an award. And you know what? Congratulations for winning the award. I want to ask you a question." And it came from like place I've never seen. And I asked him, "Look, I've been trying in business and I have been failing and failing and failing. And I'm not making the money that I want to make. What is holding me back? Can you give me, what is the secret? What am I missing?" And the words he told me literally just blew my mind, blew completely. It was one sentence. All he said was, "The conversation that is going through those two ears, you need to be able to control it." I was like, "What? That sounds so wise, but I don't understand. What do you mean?" And he was, "Just look into and research what I mean." And I was like, and then we talked a lot more. And then throughout the event, so many people came in, and in my mind, I'm still dwelling on like, okay, that's a really good point, but that's the first time I've ever heard news. But then that's new, but I don't get it at the same time. And then I was in one of the sections, they do a round table. In the round table, what they do is there's a millionaire that's sitting on the table, and you can ask him any questions. I asked him the same question, and he said to me, "Okay, listen. A 2-year-old, can they clean the toilet?" I was like, "No." He goes, "But a 15-year-old, if they've never cleaned the toilet, will they be able to clean the toilet even if you tell them how to?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, the reason why you're not a millionaire is because you're not in the state to become a millionaire." I was like, okay, now my mind is going. I was like, what? And now I see how they both link. And I said to him, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You need to look at your beliefs. You need to look at your values, and you need to look at how you were brought up and how that is impacting." And I was like, whoa, how has that got to do with how I am? That's in the past. I don't focus on the past. The past is just the past. And then he's, "Look, listen, your past is influencing your decisions right now." I was like, what? For me, my mind is blowing. Throughout this whole event, my mind is going crazy. So it's a 5-day event. And on the last day, Tony Robbins came. And he talked about NLP and how he did NLP and how he changed his life and the values that he was dropping. I was like, you know what? I need to research. This NLP is exactly what I'm looking for. This was the focus that I was looking for, and I found it. And hence I met you.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea that was the story that led you to come on the course. Oh my goodness, I love doing these podcasts because I get to chat to people like you and all our other students. They go, "Oh my goodness, is that how it happened?" Oh my God, what, and 2 amazing pearls of advice that you could be given. Like that is like, it's got NLP written all over it. Learn to control your internal dialogue, what goes on between your ears, and get yourself in a good, emotional, resourceful state to be able to be ready to step into the space you want to step into. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So, and then I thank goodness for Tony Robbins, as people will know that have listened to the podcast, that he was one of the first people that introduced me to NLP, and oh my goodness, just phenomenal. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for sharing that. That is so inspiring. Isn't it funny? Like, I know you've heard me talk on the courses and things. Isn't it funny how sometimes people say just those short little pearls of wisdom to us, and they just manage to hit the spot, and you go, "That's it. That's the gold. Like, that's what I needed to hear." Oh my goodness. So you had these kind of experiences. Thank goodness you went to Nashville and you had this Pills of Visions. You came back going, "NLP is what I need to do." And obviously you found me, which is amazing. And I'm so glad you came and did all the courses. So for you then, doing the courses, like what were like the light bulb moments for you? So you clearly came with a very clear focus, like knowing what you needed to get out of it, so tell us, like for knowing that clear goal, like what were those light bulb moments? What were those things on your trainings that you've done that like totally like clicked in your head?
For me, it was like, I've always like seen where I wanted to go, and I've always knew where I wanted to go, and which is to be financially free and not to worry about money. And coming and doing the NLP training with you, which was mind blowing. That's without an exaggeration. And like the way you teach and the way you learn about yourself, and you learn who you think you know yourself, but in reality, you have no clue who you are. I was like, well, and like being able to learn and who I am. And then once I know who I am, starting to love myself even more and just to embrace this new person who I've become. And for me, the light bulb for me was how your past can actually change, can actually influence your present, and how things that has happened when you were 4 years old, 5 years old can impact when you are, 20, 25, 40, however old you are. And there was one incident I remember, one of the things that stopped me from actually achieving my goals was being perfectionist. That was the main one. And do you know where that came from? It came from, I've always craved for my dad's love when I was young. And it was something I've always wanted, and I've always wanted my dad's love. And he obviously, he supported me financially, supported me in so many ways, but the emotional connection so in order for me to gain my dad's love, I had to be and become someone, and that person had to be perfect. And that person was the old Hamza. So that Hamza was perfect, and every time they're doing something, he had to do it perfectly. And if he didn't do it perfectly, he said in his mind, in a weird way, that love equals perfection. You have to be perfect for you to gain love. And throughout my businesses, I will try be perfect. And no one's perfect. No one in this world is perfect. And it was so mind-blowing just to see how I'm trying to chase this, but I will never reach it because I'm never perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect in essence. And just allow and let it just fail. It's okay to fail. But you know what? Fail fast. That's my new philosophy now. Just, you know what? If you're going to fail fast and fail quickly. Just move forward. Just keep on and continuously run. I think that was, for me, that was the biggest aha moment. Just how your past shapes how you think right now. And it's just crazy.
No, it is. And I think, and I'm forever saying on the courses that the thing is, the past is gone. There's nothing you can do to change the past. The only thing that the past now serves for any of us is a vehicle from which to learn. Yeah. And if we can take learnings from our past and we can realize the impact the past is having on the present, as you say, but actually we can take the learnings from the past, take the good things, if you like, the what we're going to do differently things, then we can change the present and the future. And life doesn't have to continue to be that way. And I think it's a really interesting point that you raise about how so many of us crave the love of other people. And I know it's something that I end up discussing on most practitioner courses. I don't necessarily intend to have these deep and meaningful conversations, but they kind of just tend to happen. And love's a fascinating one, because you very, very casually said there that I love myself. And that's not something that people outside of our NLP circles will be like familiar with, because when you say, oh, I love myself, everybody thinks of the boy racer, cruising down the motorway in his car, loving himself. And that's absolutely not what we mean by that.
Yeah.
And for me, the source of love has to come from within you. And we discussed this, don't we, on the course about, when your source of love is external from you, that can always be taken away. People choose to withhold it from you. People necessarily always consciously do that, but there are things that get in the way. People move on, people sadly pass away, all of that. And when the love is external, you're always at risk of loss. But actually, when the love comes from in here, inside of you, when you truly love yourself enough to make yourself a priority, you love yourself enough to look after yourself, you love yourself enough to put yourself first, you love yourself enough to do the right thing for you, that that for me was one of the massive light bulb moments for me when I was on my NLP training. And I was like, oh my goodness, it has to start with me. I have to learn to love myself.
Exactly.
And you've just like talking that through, you've just reminded me of that massive light bulb moment that I had on my training. And yeah, so I can totally relate to your experience, you know, when you did that. Now, without wishing to embarrass you, obviously you did your NLP training last year, and your business and life and income has changed in transformational ways, right? In terms of the success that you now have in your life. Now, bearing in mind, you know, as we sit here recording this now, we're at the end of July 2021, right? Because this podcast is going to be around for a while. People are going to be listening to this in years to come. When you're famous, they'll be going, oh, I remember hearing Hamza on that podcast. You're right. So, you know, we're talking probably, let's say, let's guess, 7-8 months ago, you finished your master prac training, something like that?
Yes, wow. Yeah, it has actually been.
Something like that?
Yeah.
I guess. I'm not sure exactly when you did it last year, but something like that, right? So in a matter of months, you've gone from multiple failed businesses where your mindset was not in the right place, where you were getting frustrated, and now 7 months later, you've got the most amazing coaching business and you're helping 6- and 7-figure CEOs sort out their mindset and a load of other things we're going to talk about very shortly, you know. And again, without wanting to embarrass you, you're 25. Like, you know, what an inspiration. What an inspiration. Because, you know, at 19, you go, I'm going to New York. I've set my goal. I want to sit in Times Square and listen to Alicia Keys. And then, you know, 5 years later, you go to this event in Nashville, and then you go and find out about Tony Robbins and NLP. And here we are 7 months down the line. And your business success is exponentially different. And you've done that like from 19 to 25. Like, oh my goodness, I'm just like, wait till you get to 30 and 35. You're going to be unstoppable. I mean, it's just amazing. Like, that is so inspiring to listen to how you've turned around your business success in what is relatively a short period of time. I mean, I'm in awe at how you've managed to do that. And I think you should take a massive pat on the back for that, because that is some achievement, right?
No, thank you. I'm not. It's one of those ones like, no, first of all, I do appreciate you and everything that you've done. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the NLP, in all honesty. And I feel like somehow I was guided to come to Laura Evans, to unleash your potential, to do the NLP, and which led to so many, you know, successful things, you know, in my relationships with my family, with my friends, with my wife, and like just so many things happening all at once, which is phenomenal. And I do appreciate that. Thank you.
And thank you. No, because I appreciate the feedback too. And I just love it, as you know. I love it when people take the toolkit I teach them and go and change their lives and go and change other people's lives. And I will never, ever, ever get bored of hearing stories like this, ever. I feel all emotional as you're telling me. I'm just like, that's so inspirational in a matter of months to have changed your life around. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Right. Now, before I get too emotional, let's move on. Next point. Otherwise, I'll be getting all upset and getting all teary. So I'm just so proud of you. Right. So moving on then. Right. I want to talk about what have you been doing with this toolkit since you learned it. Right. And there are all sorts of different areas. And folks listen to the podcast. Like, we did the prep just before and I don't know how I'm going to get this in the next 20 minutes. I really don't, because there's so much to talk about. So, Hamza, could we start? Right. So I remember you telling me that you've been working with 6- and 7-figure business entrepreneurs, sorting out their mindset, helping them become unstoppable, digging out what success means for them, and all of those things. And you've helped them do exactly what you've done, which is transform their business and their results. And I remember you talking to me about one particular entrepreneur where you did what we call breakthrough coaching. So for those of you that aren't familiar with breakthrough coaching is something that we teach on our master practitioner program. It's intensive, 2 days of coaching, truly transformational. And I love doing transformational coaching like that. It's just amazing. So that's what we're talking about here. So Hamza has taken 6- and 7-figure business owners, CEOs, and has done intensive transformational coaching with them. And in one particular case, the result of the coaching was that they doubled their monthly income doubled as a result of spending time for you. I mean, what a return on investment that must be for a 6 or 7 figure business owner, to spend time with you and deliver double the monthly income. So I don't want you to obviously divulge any confidentiality or anything like that. But is there like a particular person that stands out in your head as you remember all the people that you've helped over the last like 10 months, whatever, that you could share with us just to show people what is possible?
Yeah, definitely. For me, the best one for me, I guess, would be there was a client that I had, and she wanted to start businesses. She had a lot of struggles. She had a lot of self-esteem and self-doubt. And when she'll start a business, she'll make the same amount of money every year in and year out. And I said to her, listen, let me coach you. Let me find out exactly what's holding you back, because I know exactly how to unleash you, I guess. And she was like, yes, let's do it. And, she came in for a 2-day breakthrough, and I coached her. And throughout the coaching, what we found out was, it's so funny how the past always affects, like changes the way you think. And what we found out is she was sexually abused when she was 5 years old.
Wow.
And like, for me to even get that out of her, that took so much. Like, I had to control my emotions, and I had to, like, because I can see the pain they're going through, and I'm going through with them as well, and I'm feeling exactly what they're feeling. Yeah. And because they were, they were abused when they were young, at the age of 5 years old, and from there, she developed so many beliefs of not being self-worth, not loving herself, and not being free, not being worthy, and I remember just helping her through that process and just letting her heal essentially from that trauma, from that memory. And it's so funny because she didn't want to talk about it. I remember in the first breakthrough, she didn't want to talk about it. I think in the second day, she was like, Hamza, I have to say this because this is keep on coming up, and I know my unconscious wants me to talk about this. I was like, what is it? And then she told me, and I was like, wow. I had to control my emotion just to help her, and just helping her heal. And after we did the 2-day breakthrough, she was like, Hamza, when I was 18 years old, I tried and I looked for help, and I bought courses, and they were useless. They didn't help me. And I said, you know what? I'm like this. You know what? I was born like this. It's cool. I'll just live like that. And she believed that was the outcome of her life. And she's like, because I came to you and you helped me, and you were able to transform my life. And now she's running her own business. She's smashing it in terms of her business, and she made a lot of progress in terms of internally how she thinks of herself. Now, when you see her talk, and she's very confident. And at the time when she came to me, she was so shy and so quiet. I was like, how do you even make money with this attitude? But now that she's very confident, very strong and powerful, it's so beautiful to see that transformation, because you see who they were before they came to you, and after they leave, they see themselves. And the funny part is, their friends and their families see it, and they say, "Oh my God, who did you go to?" And they say, "Oh, Hamza." And literally, everyone that I've managed to get for my business, majority of it has been through referrals, because of the exponential growth that they have in their business. For me, that was the biggest standout that came out from my business.
Wow, and how special that she felt comfortable to say that, and she clearly on day one of her breakthrough had clearly shifted enough stuff herself to even feel like she wanted to say that, and that she could say that. And the great thing about NLP is obviously it's pretty much content free. All right, we need to know enough about the problem to be able to help the client in the best way that we can. So there's a little bit of content there, but she didn't need to go into hours and hours and hours. Like, if we compare some of the stuff she probably looked at when she was 18, like counseling and things like that, if she wanted to deal with those problems from her childhood, that would have been probably years of talking therapies. And in 2 days, you've changed her life. And all right, she told you what the problem was, but she didn't have to sit there for hours and hours going, this is what happens and this is how, and blah, 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 and you've helped her get rid of some of that baggage that she's carrying through her life. And look at her now. And I'm like you, right? I'll never get bored of that. And isn't it funny, right? You must see this as well. I remember, obviously, I do a lot more training now than I do coaching, but, people that particularly on Master Prac, when they do the breakthroughs, right? I see you all as you leave me on Wednesday afternoon and you all look a certain way and, have certain things, mindset, beliefs and values. And you go off and you do a breakthrough on your buddy and they do it on you. And you come back on Saturday morning. It's like I've got a completely different class of students in front of me. It's just phenomenal. And I get to see that like 3 times a year when I run Master Prac. But like, I will never, ever, ever, ever get bored of seeing what is possible in literally 2 days.
Exactly. And
it just makes it, well, I mean, like, we need to be paid, right? Because we've got mortgages and stuff. But it just, like, the buzz it gives me, and I'm sure you feel the same, the buzz it gives you, especially when you see your clients going on to do such amazing things. It's just phenomenal. It's phenomenal. You must be so proud of her.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of those of like, she knows herself and she calls me literally every other week and telling me how she's doing and how excited she is about her business. And so that's for me, that is like the highlight. It's not about the money. It's not about all of this. That's a bonus, but it's about that transformation that you can see, that you can easily give to others, that power that you can give to everyone.
No, absolutely. So what about, so I know obviously you spend a lot of your time coaching big entrepreneurs with businesses and bits and bobs. I'm just wondering, like, I know you've done some work with like career professionals as well, as I would call them. So people that are maybe employees in business, they're wanting career progression and things like that. Are there any kind of standout light bulb moments for you when you've been doing that type of coaching?
Yeah, definitely. So the biggest one is in career one. There was a friend of mine. He came up to me and he said to me, Hamza, I'm in this position at the moment. He wasn't the manager. He was just as usual. And he was like, Hamza, I don't know what's going on. I've been at this job for a while and I'm not getting promoted. I don't know what it is. And I said, you know what? Okay, that's fine. Let's do the 2-day breakthrough. And let's see what is the issue and how we can turn that into to a really good outcome. And we did the 2-day breakthrough, and they really, really enjoyed it. And within a month, I'm not even exaggerating. Within a month, they call me and they say to me, Hamza, I got promoted to be a manager. I was like, wow! And he goes, I don't know how that happened, but all I know is what he said was, I don't feel the change. I know I feel the change, but I don't think it was a big thing. But other people tend to see it. And that helped me get the promotion to become manager. And I was like, listen, that's life. Like sometimes you might not see the growth, but it might be a gradual growth, but eventually you'll reach there. And just for me to just see people like either doubling their income or either getting promoted to becoming a manager, or even to different positions, higher positions, it's fulfilling for me and for them as well. So definitely.
Amazing. I'm like, we could sit here all night and you could rattle off all these examples. It just makes me so proud because, as people that listen to the podcast will know, my mission is to positively impact 50,000 lives while I'm on this planet. I can't do that personally. I can only do that through people like you, Hamza, and all our other master practitioner community. Because if I can give you the skills and you can go on to change all these people's lives, like that is the massive ripple effect that I want to have on this planet. And I'll never, ever get bored of hearing what all of you get up to, and I will forever be on the sideline cheering everybody on, because that's how we transform this planet. That's how we help people unleash their potential. That's how we help them move forward from all of the past. And I get so excited about talking about it. Anyway, on to the next thing, because I'm watching this clock and I'm thinking there's other things I need to talk to you about. So following your NLP training, and becoming obviously a master coach with all the skills that comes with, you went off and managed to secure yourself a £31,000 government coaching contract. Now, there's a lot of people out there, right, that would go, oh my goodness, like that is amazing. Like forget all these other successes that have happened since your master prac training. But like, oh my goodness, you've gone and secured a £31,000 coaching contract. And I think it would be really interesting for people to understand, how you're making a difference and what it is you're doing. So what a lot of people won't know, because I guess most people listening to the podcast won't know, that before doing NLP, you were also very much an expert in Agile. And those people that are into IT and technology will know all about Agile and Agile ways of working and all of that kind of stuff. It's very much the in thing, that's very much, well, I say it's in thing. It's been in for probably about the last 10 years. But anyway, so Agile, so technology people, and, very much systems orientated people. And I don't want to isolate or offend anybody, but Agile is very system orientated. It's very much about planning and structure, and you follow the procedures. And if you do all these things, you get great outcomes and all of that stuff, right? And that's brilliant. And it's been proven and tested. And lots of people use the processes of Agile, and that's amazing. There's a problem, isn't there? If you give everybody this toolkit, but they don't have the same mindset to go with it. And so this is where I believe, and you can tell everybody the story, but this is where I believe you came in, because your Agile qualifications got you in the door. But actually, what you're spending more of your time doing is mindset coaching to help these technology tech people get the results they know they're capable of. Anyway, listen, tell everybody the story. How did it happen and what's it all been about?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm an Agile certified, in particular Scrum, which is basically just one of the methodologies. I got into the government, and I remember the task that was given to me was, okay, you've got a team of 14 people. These 14 people, that includes developers, people who do testers, people who do business analysts, product owners, etc. And they communicate with the stakeholders, etc. And, just so many, it's more of the technology side as well. And my role was to make sure this team are very efficient and very productive in terms of how they do the work. And a lot of the issue was, the main one was communication barriers. They did not know how to communicate with each other. The stakeholders are getting angry with the team, and the team are getting angry with the stakeholders. There's so many communication barriers. And I had to come in and literally just using communication skills, using language patterns that we learned from NLP, the Milton model, building rapport with both teams. And that, for me, that was the biggest one. And then whenever I speak to them, they're like, oh, Hamza, you're very, the best compliment I got, I think this is one of the best compliments I got, was one of the business analysts. He said to me, when I told him, oh, I'm going to be working I'm going to be working with this team, he was like, oh my God, that is it. That's it. We've hit the jackpot. That is the best thing that could happen to this team. Previously, before I got into that role, I was speaking to the team, getting to know them. And what he said was, wherever Hamza goes, I wish I could go there too. And that just shows
amazing.
If you build rapport with people, the way NLP teaches you, and you do it, and, the person, they will feel connected. It's like a bond. There's unconscious bond that will build. And I'd love to have those kind of connections with others. And, to the point where I even invited him to come to a football game that I play every week. And we just met. But it's one of those, because that bond is so strong, it just shows no matter who it is, you can always break those walls. They might, the stakeholders, for example, I couldn't create that bond. But it was because of repetition and just continuously doing it from a different angle and from different, communication skills. And eventually I broke in to the point where they're like, Hamza, I'm glad you're here and helping us. And just to see that the transformation, both teams transforming, and, it's just phenomenal. And they're both being productive, and they're picking up a lot more work. And it's very powerful. NLP can be used for anything, literally, for work, business, coaching, transformation. It doesn't matter. And no matter what, if you learn it, that's the toolkit. You can apply it to whatever manual, whatever you want, essentially.
Yeah, amazing. And it's funny, isn't it? Because a lot of people, we talk a lot about our coaching skills and how we have, transformational coaching, things like that. But I think you hit onto a good point there, which is, I think a lot of people, when they look at NLP, see the snazzy techniques and the processes, and that's all well and good. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be without them. Of course I wouldn't. Yeah. But I think you're right in that I think it's so easy to overlook some of the basic stuff around communication, around rapport, language patterns, and we introduce everybody, don't we, on a practitioner course to those. And then, like we do it like tenfold on Masters when we really get into language, and we spend like almost 3.5 days doing language patterns and how to be more influential and how to improve communication and all of that stuff. And I think you're right. I think, that's a bit about NLP that often gets overlooked, the comms element of it, because let's face it, right? As you quite rightly say, NLP can be used in any area. The fundamental in all the areas you mentioned is communication, whether it's communication with your coaching client, communication with your staff member, communication with your clients, with your contractors, your stakeholders, your relationships, your wives, husbands, children, friends. It all comes back to communication, right? Which I think is a really important point that you make there about that. And I think a lot of people overlook, some might say, the simplicity of it. As you and I both know, some of the language patterns are a little bit complex to start with, but once you've mastered them, like you've got them, they're in here and you use them. But I think it's the elegance, isn't it, sometimes, of the communication that you have with people, and the elegance of being able to help people see things differently just in a conversation, and you start to shift their mindset just by talking to them. And to anybody else, we're just chatting to them. We're just having a chat, right? But actually, it's the influentialness of the communication, and this is, there's no like secret wand for those people that are listening to this going, oh, what is it? What is it? Like, what do you learn? There's no magic wand. I wish there was. There is no magic wand. What there is being really self-aware about your language patterns and really self-aware of the response you get from the other person, not just consciously, unconsciously, because again, as you alluded to there, Hamza, it's about behavioral change, right? And if you can get people to behave differently just through a conversation, that's gold. That's worth double the contract that you've been given in terms of the productivity that team will be able to produce. I'm guessing that the measure of the success of that team you've been working with, I guess the metrics are already proving themselves, right, in terms of what you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're even reviewing my contract soon, and they're going to increase it by like 10, 15K, which whatever we agree on. Like, it's just when they see the result, they're like, whoa, okay, this is really good work. And now that I'm starting to do a lot more one-to-ones. Now that everything is sorted out, I'm going to have one-to-ones with probably give them a breakthrough, quick breakthroughs. So definitely exciting times.
Amazing. I love the way you casually just go, yeah, and just another 10, 15 grand on top of the contract, just like it's meant to be, as it is. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like, oh my God, Hamza, listen, I'm just like, what else do I ask him? Like, honestly, I can't tell you how proud I am of everything that you've achieved in what is such, I keep saying it, for such a short period of time, to have transformed your results, and now to hear you transforming the results of all these other people. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, if I wasn't already trained in NLP, listening to this podcast, I'd be like, I don't know what he's got, but I need some. Now, I don't care who it is. I don't care what it's called, but that I need that. I need that for my coaching. I need that for my business. Like, results like that just speak for themselves, and it's just phenomenal. So, Hamza, like, you've spent a lot of time studying successful people, going to like that pivotal event for you in Nashville, and being brave enough to ask those super successful people, what makes the difference for them. And then you have modeled them. I know, having spent days and days and days in the training, you are like a sponge. You are so super intelligent. Like, I remember when we were on Master Pack, and I just gave you a little bit of feedback, and you were just like, yeah, Laura, on it, sorted. And with that, like, transformational, like, you memorize model patterns, which is one of the language patterns that we use for people that are not NLP trained. You like memorize them, like you were just like reeling them off, and like you're so bright and intelligent. I honestly cannot wait. Give you another. Listen, this is 10 months. Give you another like 5 years. Oh my goodness, I'm going to be going. I trained him. Him up there on stage, up there with Tony Robbins. Yeah, one of my students. That is. Honest to God, you got so much ahead of you. It's amazing. Now, for someone listening to this podcast right now, that might be a bit stuck, that might be a bit frustrated, that might be where you were before you came to NLP. With all of your experience and your knowledge, I just wonder whether we could pick your brains just for a few minutes. And if you were to give that person that's stuck, frustrated, and wondering what to do with their life, like if you could give them some pearls of wisdom, like what kind of wisdom would you give them? Like what's the Hamza kind of like top 3 tips or top tip or whatever that you would give them right now? Listen to this podcast.
For me, it would be to run. What I mean by that is just run. When you're running, you're not thinking about anything else. You're not thinking about, oh, there's a tree here. Oh, there's something here. You're just running. You're just focused on running. And what I mean by that is, when it comes to life, your mind will come and be like, oh, Hamza, are you sure you're not good enough though? You failed before. You did this. No, don't even listen to that. Just continuously run. Like just ignore it. Just flush it out and just be present. Like present in terms of like, don't focus on the past and don't focus on the future too much in terms of, oh, if you focus on the future, that would just give you stress and anxiety. Like
you need a goal though, right? You need to know the direction you need to run in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like once you know your direction of where you're going, but don't think in terms of in a negative way. Like saying you're doing a public speaking. One of the things I used to do was like, oh, what if I trip? What if I say the wrong thing? Or what if some ridiculous thoughts are going through my head. But just don't focus on. Just be present. Just be present. Just be you. Just be you. Louder and just run, I guess, and just enjoy life.
I love it. I love it. I love your analogy of run, because you're absolutely right. When you're running, you don't run along going, oh, look, there's a tree, or oh, look, there's a flat. Like, I mean, you take it in, but you're just so focused on where you want to go and how you're going to get there, and you just do it. And I love the things that you were talking about earlier in terms of sorting out this mind chatter, what's in between your ears, getting your emotional state in the right place, having a clear goal, and then run. Yeah. I mean, like, what pearls of wisdom.
Yeah.
You are so wise beyond your years. It's unbelievable. I'm just sitting here thinking, if I knew even a fraction of what you now know at 25, honestly, I keep saying it, but I'm so excited for you. I really am. And I will forever be cheering you on, because I just think you're so amazing at what you do. And I'm so super proud that you came to train with me and that you've gone on to use it. Because I always get a little bit, not downhearted, that's not right, but I love it when people use it. I think if you're going to come on a course like this and you're just going to learn NLP and shove it on the shelf and not use it either in your own life or not use it in a way to help others, then to me that's such a loss. It's such a missed opportunity. But I love it. I love it when people sit here and tell me, this is the difference it's made for me, Laura. This is how my life has changed. This is how I'm helping other people improve their lives as well. And oh my God, I just have so much proud and joy for what you've done.
I just want to say as well, like, I don't think I'll be where I am today if it wasn't for you. I don't think I need to be a lot more grateful and just say thank you so much for like everything that you've done, doing the NLP, the practitioner, the way you deliver it. Just, I'll be honest, like before I came to NLP, Unleash Your Potential, I tried another company, and the way they were doing, I was like, I don't even like the way they do it. And I just looked for, again, and I found Unleash Your Potential, and I loved your energy. I was like, you know what? I want to do with Laura. And you sent me a manual, which I didn't even get from the other business. I was like, look at the difference and the way you teach and the way you deliver before you even come in, and making sure you know your stuff, and then you just deliver it like with 100%, full of energy. Every day is not the same. Every day is like you're growing. And then doing the masters, oh my God, that was even more mind blowing. I thought I've learned enough in practitioner, but doing the masters just on another level, and just seeing you and just coaching us and telling us, and having that community or like Facebook community just helping us and guiding us. And I just really do appreciate what you do. And, you will definitely reach places as well. And I saw the other day that you won an award. Congratulations to that as well.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm very proud of my Businesswoman of the Year award. But no, thank you, Hamza. I really appreciate your kind words. And it means a huge amount. It really does. So thank you. Now, if you've listened to the podcast, I'm like, there's so many other things on my sheet, but I'm just going to have to stop. I want to ask you a few quick fire questions, right? So Hamza doesn't know we're doing this unless, of course, he's listened to the podcast, and then you'll know we're going to do quick fire round. to finish off. So Hamza has no idea what I'm about to ask him. So let's do this. Hamza, what one piece of advice would you give your 18-year-old self if you could go back and give yourself some advice?
Change what's in your mind.
Change what's in your mind. Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I said number one. Like, number one.
You just said, don't do that. And I was like, hold on, that's what we've just spent the last hour talking about.
That's the first step. That's the first step. You have to, like, once you change that, then you will sprint. You're not even running, you're going to sprint.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. What one word would you use to describe your experience with us here at Unleash Your Potential?
That's a good one. Love that. Inspired. It inspired me to do more with my life, because now I've learned that I'm unleashed. I can do whatever I want. Being inspired to do more and just continue and just run. Like I
love it. I love it. Here's a random one for you. If you could be any animal, what animal would you be and why?
A lion, because a lion, it's not the strongest, it's not the fastest, it's not the biggest, and it's not the smartest either, but yet it's the king of the jungle. Why? It's because of the mindset. If you change the mindset with the NLP tool, you can do whatever you want in your life.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen, from the man himself. Hamza, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I can't tell you how proud I am, and I just, oh my God, amazing. I could talk to you for hours. But thank you so much for being so generous with your time and with sharing your journey and also sharing some of the successes your clients have had. I know that people that listen to this episode are going to be hugely inspired by your journey. And so thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you
for those of you listening, then thank you also for joining us for yet another amazing podcast. I know I say this about everybody, but we have such an amazing community. I can't wait. The next episode is going to be a solo episode with just me. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be out on the 25th of August. It is going to be all about the NLP tips to help people with burnout. Very topical at the moment. Lots of people ask me about, Laura, how do you do what you do and don't burn out? Well, I'm going to share with you some of my top tips. So stay tuned for that, coming out on the 25th of August. If you want to learn more about NLP, then check the description of the podcast because you'll be able to download the PDF on how to pick the right NLP course for you. So you don't make the mistake Hamza did by training with someone else first and then realizing you picked the wrong person. So go download the how to pick the best NLP course for you. And also I'll put the link in the description for you as well. Just scroll down on your phone or your iPad, wherever you're listening to this. And I'll put the link to our brochure as well, so you can go and check out the courses. So yeah, also remember, we're on YouTube. So we're live streaming this on YouTube, but if you haven't yet, go and check us out on YouTube. Hamza, one final thing before we go. If people want to get in contact with you, maybe they've been inspired by your story, or they're interested in engaging you as a coach or whatever, Hamza, how do people find you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm on Instagram at coach and then AYCH. So yeah, okay. Coach AYCH.
So Instagram's the best place to get you, is there?
Yeah.
No website?
Not the moment, no. I don't use a website.
Just checking. So go and find you on Instagram. Just say that again, Hamza, for anybody that's listening.
At coach AYCH.
AYCH. At coach AYCH. Fabulous. Wonderful. Hamza, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for joining us. And I will be back with the next episode very soon.